Welcome to Unsubscribe. I'm your host, Avani Jain. In this podcast, I'm going to show you how to intentionally opt out of anything that's robbing you of your energy, freedom, joy, and peace of mind. It's time to let it all go, finally, so that you can clear your mental inboxes and make space to subscribe to a life that truly lights your soul. If you're ready, hop in. We are embarking on the transformation of a lifetime.
Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to another episode of Unsubscribe. Today, I need to catch you up because there's been so much happening, a lot of learnings, and I want to dive into something new that I'm doing. Maybe I'll do it monthly, maybe I won't. I'm not going to commit to it, but I'm going to be doing October's report, which is a fun thing I learned about on TikTok. And it's just a report, an update on what I'm reading, eating, playing, obsessed with, recommending, and treating myself with. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just have a lot of interesting things to share with you there. But first, let's talk about the last 10 days. I made a podcast episode last week, which you've probably already listened to, all about my anxious energy and feeling anxiety inside of me and just around me, honestly. There's a lot of collective anxiety that we're probably feeling right now. And I felt that just leading up to recording my last podcast episode. So I shared about it. And a big reason for that was we had a huge trip to Napa. It wasn't even that big. I don't know why I'm saying huge, but it felt huge. I think it was the first one that we had taken in a little bit. So it felt very big. There was a lot of events because it was, of course, a big, fat Indian wedding, a really beautiful Indian wedding on my side of the family, but a lot of logistics, a lot of outfits. And this time there was just so much to deal with the travel that it was a lot for me, too much for me. And I had other things going on in my life, as I've explained to you many times. And of course, after that trip, we came back, and today I'm recording this before we get ready to leave the house again. We're leaving again to New York for Diwali, which is going to be so much fun. Again, all good things, but it's a lot of back to back. Then we come back, and the next day we throw our annual big Halloween bash. So it's a lot back to back, and I'm realizing and learning about the max of my capacity. Like the edges of my limitations are really showing right now because I had so much going on. And actually, these last 2 days before leaving to New York, I was supposed to be in a podcast studio recording a 3-hour podcast episode. This podcast episode was actually not supposed to be in my office. I'm in my office right now. I was going to be starting with an amazing new studio, and I was so excited about it. I also had a bunch of matcha dates planned, but of course, on my way back from California, I started feeling like I had a little cold, a little congested, a little stuffy, and then my voice started to sound weird. You might be able to detect it right now. It's a little better right now, but it wasn't so great the day I was going to go into the podcast studio. So I just canceled everything for Monday and Tuesday, and let me tell you, it felt glorious. These were all things I did really want to do, but I just was feeling so heavy and overloaded with things on my calendar, stuff to do, responsibilities, honestly. Even though my calendar was clear some days, I just had so many responsibilities, and it felt overwhelming. It felt really, really difficult. And I wasn't going to cancel the podcast recording on my own. So the universe intervened. And I'm pretty sure that's the sickness that I manifested, which is getting a cold. Like I brought it on myself. My subconscious probably was like, you're not doing this and you need to slow down, but you're not making it happen. It's too much. So here's a little virus for you. And I hit my upper limit in a sense. If you haven't read the book by Gay Hendricks called A Big Leap, it talks a lot about upper limits. And I think he even mentions in the book that sometimes we manifest things like sicknesses or other roadblocks when we're reaching our upper limit, when we're about to transcend or power up, I like that word a little bit better, into the next level of operation of what we're supposed to be doing. And so I'm hitting my edges, I'm hitting my limitations, and it is time for me to level up, power up, and move into what is next in this video game of life. And I'm finally realizing like, oh, it was maybe a good thing that this happened. And there's a silver lining in this. There's a lot of good that I can take away from this. And I had to reschedule the podcast studio recording just to next week, which I am so thrilled about. It's going to be so cool. The production value of this is going to go up, and we're going to see if it works really well for us. We're also going to be having our first guest, and I cannot wait to just make this all better for you, because it's just something that is, I'm called to do it, you know? I'm called to be here to talk to you, to share my ideas and listen to your thoughts and have this conversation with you. Just so grateful that I get to do this. So that's about me maxing out my capacity and manifesting getting sick. So if you have done that in your life, it's okay. I just did it too. And I think there is some good in here for us to find, to notice, and to take away with, move forward with for whatever is next. What is happening to us is not happening to us, it's happening for us. And we get to reframe that in our lives every single day. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just so happy that I get to do all these amazing things. And I feel a little bit more energized going into my next trip out. And I feel a little bit smarter than I did 5 days ago. So I'm just grateful for that. But let's dive into the report for October. Again, I saw this on TikTok, and I'm just kind of obsessed with it. The idea of sharing these little pieces of life that feel expansive and fun and exciting is just something that felt really good. So we're doing it. Maybe we'll do it more. I don't know. But let's start with the reading portion of the report. I just finished reading the third Gilmore Girl, which, first of all, it's a memoir, and it's not my typical reading recommendation. Usually I recommend things like, The Big Leap or um, The Surrender Experiment or things like that I love. Both good books, by the way. The Untethered Soul, another good book. I'm not reading those currently. I just finished reading The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. And if you know me, I am obsessed with Gilmore Girls. It is my favorite TV show of all time. I've watched it since I was, I don't know, 12, 13. I was in middle school when I started watching it. So maybe like 12-ish. And me and two of my other friends and one of our teachers in middle school, we were all obsessed with this show. And we would talk about it every time a new episode aired and talk about it over lunch. Maybe it was high school. I can't even remember now. But it was so much fun. And we would do Gilmore Girl marathons. And the grandmother in the series, Kelly Bishop, wrote a memoir about herself, about her life. It was incredible to read and listen to. And I read it. I didn't listen to it. I think she has an audiobook. I'm not sure. But it was so fun to read. I just loved seeing how she became Emily Gilmore and the background. She was a dancer and she had this big, rich, beautiful life, and seeing that character development in herself and then having that in the show that I love so much and seeing how that came together and what was happening in the background during the show. Oh, so much fun to read. I highly recommend it. If you're a Gilmore Girls fan, you will love it. You'll absolutely love it. Okay, the next part of the report is eating. And we had the most amazing culinary experience in Chicago. Let me tell you, it was out of this world. And it was at Alinea, which is a Michelin star restaurant. The chef has actually been featured in an episode of Chef's Table. So we watched that episode and it was so great to then finally be at the restaurant. I had actually been there before, but not since I had watched that Chef's Table episode. And then we were at Alinea and we had this amazing experience with our friends in a private room for Tushar's birthday, my husband's birthday. And it was incredible. Every piece, every dish had something unique in it. And it was a bite that was magical. There was contrast between cold food and warm components, or hot, like spicy and sweet, and different flavor profiles or textures that they played with, or even the dishware. Each dish piece was made specifically for that meal, for that portion of the meal. And it was so cool to be eating caviar and kind of scratching your spoon against the bottom of this bubbled plate so that it looked kind of like the caviar, and there was a sound effect that happened. So it was a magical experience of the senses as well. It was so fun, and also fun to experience with good friends. And then in the middle of the dinner, we actually got to be taken to the kitchen, which was incredible. And right behind us was the chef, Grant Akitz. And I was just floored. I was like, the chef's behind us. I cannot believe it. The chef is incredible because he lost his sense of taste. It's amazing. And then his cooking got even better. And then he got it back. But wow. And then we got to take a picture with him later, which is amazing. And that was such a peak culinary experience, something that we will really cherish forever. And if you ever get a chance to go to Alinea for a special occasion, I highly recommend it. And other than that, with eating, I've been super healthy, back on my no grains, no legumes, no alcohol, no sugar, no fruit, no complex carbs diet, and just feeling really good, eating a lot of protein, eating a lot of greens, eating a lot actually, but just the really good stuff. And my body has never felt better. I'm shedding what's not for me anymore in terms of that, and putting on a lot of muscle, which has been fun to just see that strength come back and just feel really good every day. And of course, I'm cold plunging in the morning. I'm about to cold plunge actually right after this because I'm recording this podcast at 6:30 a.m. today before we hop on the flight. So cold plunging has been giving me life. It's been forcing me to sit back and just be. It's like, if I can't be in the present moment for that cold plunge, I'm not going to make it through. So that cold plunge is not just for me from a physical standpoint, like the beneficial health aspects, but mental health aspects. The mental standpoint is really what I'm doing the cold plunge for most days. And I'm not sure why I wrote about the cold plunge in my eating category. Wow, that's really funny. But maybe I should move it to recommending. And anyway, I talked about it. So, cold plunge. The next category of the report is playing. And I'm not sure if this is like playing music or just playing, like playing and having fun. So I'm just going to call it playing and having fun. And we had an amazing Chicago weekend. That's when we went to Alinea for Tishar's birthday. And then we got to have a lot of fun with our friends. We went out that night to TAO, which I haven't been to a nightclub in a long time, and it's just not something we do all the time. But we just thought, for this once, why don't we do it? We got a couple of tables and invited a bunch of my Chicago friends because I used to live there, and it was so much fun. Just so much fun to see everyone catch up and give hugs and feel like I'm in my 20s again. It was just really, really nice to be with everyone and be thankful for all the amazing friends that we have in our lives who show up for us. It was beautiful. So that was a play. It was so great. So if you're in your 30s and you haven't had a good night out in like 5 years or more, just do it. Just do it once. I know you're going to be tired the next day, but it's fun to play. So much fun to play. The next thing is what I'm obsessed with. I am absolutely obsessed with feeling good in all senses of the word. I am obsessed with feeling good mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. That is my main like operating guide right now, or I don't know what it's called. Main operative. There we go. That is my main operative, primary objective right now, which is feeling good. So I'm focusing on feeling good with my body. I shared a little bit about that, and my mind as well. So focusing on being present, focusing on having therapy sessions, focusing on breathing when I can, trying to get back into regular meditation right now. I still haven't done that, but that mental experience for me has to be good. I've also been clearing a lot of negativity, things that have been feeling like they're weighing me down, negative emotions. And I think I mentioned this before. Maybe I didn't, but I did something called emotion coding several weeks ago. It's been maybe a few months now, with my friend Megan Reed, and it was magical and incredible. I don't know how it worked. Maybe it was voodoo magic or something, but she's so amazing. And she took the thing that I was worried about, that was on my mind and weighing, and she looked at a picture of me and she did something with the universe and helped me release so many incredible negative emotions. And it's called emotion coding. I'm obsessed with it too, because it helped me clear something big at a time I really needed to let go of negative emotions. So I cleared shame, I cleared sadness, I cleared some anxious energy. There was so much that my body was holding on to in different places. So it was so, so fun to do that and experience that and know that that's another tool in my pocket. And I'm of the belief that it doesn't really matter how it works, if it works sometimes. Like, as long as it's not harming anyone, like emotion coding, and it is net positive in my life. And maybe I'm not sure how it works. Maybe it's placebo effect. Maybe it's actually a thing. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm leaving feeling better, lighter, good, then I'm down for it. So emotion coding, maybe kind of weird, maybe kind of edgy, but check it out. That's one of the things that has helped me when I've been feeling so, so bogged down. So grateful for that. And I'm obsessed with that, obsessed with feeling good as well. The next thing is what I'm recommending right now. So as I've had a bumpy couple weeks, there have been some hard moments and some hard things, or moments I've had to wake up really early or stay up late or work on something that I really didn't want to work on, or just work on something while I was extremely tired, even though I wanted to do it. And so I have started to romanticize even the hard things. And this is something I'm really recommending to all of you. There are times when you have to do things and it's not the perfect ideal conditions, but what in that experience can you make better? Can you romanticize? So, someone I follow on Instagram, she stayed at home with her kids for 4 years, and now she's going back to being a nurse for the first time in 4 years just because the business that she was working on wasn't working out. And she has had to figure out childcare for her 3 kids. And she is also getting a lot of things together around the house, managing the household. And in order for her to romanticize this hard moment, or I'm assuming it's hard, actually. She never said it was hard. I think that it might be because that's a lot of kids. But in order to romanticize that, what she has done is she started to film her get ready with me for my first day of work, get ready with me to do this, get ready with me to um, like little pockets of her nursing life on her first day is what she did essentially. And that was really inspirational to me because she was doing something fun, like recording a few clips and then putting them together later, sharing that with us and allowing us to experience it and romanticizing that portion of the morning. She's like, I woke up early, I worked out, here were the timestamps, and we did it. And it was great. And I'm here, my first day of work. And I was just like, wow, I love that. Introducing a fun thing that was fun for her into the day and romanticizing it, making it feel great. Another easy way to romanticize an early morning is to make yourself a really nice bougie drink, a bougie matcha. Make it with your best glassware, put some of the toppings or mix-ins that you like, whatever you like in your drinks, and a straw, a fun straw, and you just feel a little bit better about the day. And that's actually what I'm going to do this morning after I cold plunge. So I'm going to romanticize this early morning podcast episode moment. And it feels good, actually. It feels so much fun when I start to see the small, tiny, fun things involved in the hard thing. And I'm just grateful that that is available to me at all times, at every single moment. So even if you've been delayed in your flight, what can you romanticize? Can you go walk around and look at a shop? Can you buy a new book? Can you call an old friend and catch up, or text a few people who you've been meaning to get back to and feel really social because, like, wow, you have so many people that want to talk to you, or get a really nice drink at the airport, walk around, respond to emails actually, and get things done. Like, oh, I'm so productive. I love, even that feels romanticizing, romanticism, romantic for me. Feeling like, oh wow, I got so much done at the airport. Like, look at me. And it's just been so much of a helpful hack in hard moments. The next thing is hand care. This is something I've recently gotten into, and I highly recommend if you get your nails done like me. My nails need a little help right now, and you put your hands under a UV lamp. Please get gloves, hand gloves that are UV protecting on Amazon. They're like little gloves that have holes for your fingernails. So you're protecting your hand because the UV lamp, even if it's for a few minutes at a time, because you're doing it regularly, it's going to impact your skin health. And that's not okay. As soon as I was like really convinced that this was a thing, I just got those gloves. I even started putting sunscreen on my hands before my nail appointments. So I am a little extra for my nail appointments now. And Ashley knows my nails are always done by at Ashley Amalia Nails, or it's Nails by Ashley Amalia. I tag her in my stories. So Ashley, sorry if I messed up your Instagram handle, but I'm the bougie person, the extra person that will show up with all my hand care things and make sure that's I'm going to be safe and my hands are going to be good and healthy for a long time. And the other thing I started doing is a little bit of a biweekly hand care routine. So I will wash my hands in warm water and I'll do it with my facial cleanser actually and make sure they're warm. Then I'll pat them dry a little bit, but leave them a little bit damp. And I'll slather my face moisturizer all over my hands and put them in some gloves and just wait for 15 minutes. Basically, this allows my hand to absorb as much moisture as possible from the lotion and moisturizer. And then I take them off and I do a rinse and then I'm done. Actually, sometimes I even do a scrub in between to exfoliate. I just want my hands to feel really soft. And I noticed that they weren't feeling really soft. So these are some things I just started doing, taking care of my skin on my hands. I'm really good at taking care of my skin on my face, and I love my skin on my face, but my hands were looking a little rusty, and I don't want to be that lady who has a young face and old hands. I want my skin to match in age. So hand care is where it's at. There's so many things on hand care TikTok, but I just gave you the TLDR, and I highly recommend treating yourself to that once in a while. Speaking of treating, the last thing I've been actually treating myself to and that's felt like a real treat is matcha. And I had a hard time figuring out what to write for this category of the report, which is probably a problem in itself. Like, I haven't been treating myself very much lately, and I do need to change that. I just haven't had the space or the time to do so. And that makes me sad because that means I'm not putting myself as a priority on my list and I'm not pouring into myself as much as I should. So you're hearing it here first. I'm going to be working on the tea treating part of the report for next month in November. And for now, matcha is my treat, and that's okay too. It gets to be okay when things aren't ideal, when things aren't perfect. It just gets to be okay. And so I'm treating myself to my matcha every single day. And sometimes an espresso because Tushar makes me that and it's so good. And it's your invitation to treat yourself to something. Go take yourself out for a little matcha date. Even if it's like a 20-minute matcha coffee shop stop, do it. Treat yourself because leaving the house, going somewhere, seeing other people in the world, seeing the big blue sky makes your world feel a lot more expansive and a lot more beautiful, and that it's full of possibilities. So I recommend even a small treat if you can do it. So there it is, my October report, R.E.P.O.R.T. And the last thing I want to leave you with is we are approaching the end of the year. And I want to talk about my winter arc. This is another thing I learned about on TikTok. Apparently, I learn a lot there. And I'm in my winter arc, but I'm not having a 1 hour morning routine or getting super healthy and well, actually, I am getting super healthy, so I take that back. But I don't have a lot of time to invest in my winter arc right now, as many people might. The winter arc is what girlies on Instagram are talking about, girlies on TikTok are talking about, where they're using the last 3 months to get a head start on their New Year's resolutions, essentially, which is great. But for my winter arc, I am keeping it simple. And what I'm doing is I'm committing to not overextending myself. I'm committing to understanding my capacity at a deeper level. And I'm committing to saying no when needed and not being afraid of that. And I am going to practice that in every week of the rest of the year. And that is my winter arc, being better at boundaries, being better at taking care of myself and putting myself first. I'd love to ask you to join me in the winter arc for the rest of this year. What are you going to do? What is one small thing or theme of things that you're going to commit to to get yourself positioned for the best life yet in 2025, the best year yet in 2025. What is that looking like for you? What are you going to be adding or removing or adjusting or recalibrating for the rest of this year so that 2025 feels like you are starting it on a high, or at least on a high in the place you're at in life? So let's all experience our best winter ever, our best winter arc era ever, and feel like the best versions of ourselves, or as best as we can be, because some eras, some seasons are not easy, and all we can do is be the best in that time. So let's be the best in this time together. Thank you all for listening to my early morning podcast chat. I love you all so much, so much. And I hope to see you around Instagram. Please DM me, because it is one of my life's greatest joys to communicate with all my besties from Unsubscribe. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.